Good morning, students. In the last class, we have discussed about the organism. Now, today we will discuss about the population. Population's attributes. Population is a group of individuals living in a particular geographical area. It has certainly attributes. They are birth rate, death rate, sex ratio, population density. A population at any given time is composed of individuals of different age group, as shown in the figure: pre-reproductive, reproductive, and post-reproductive. Age pyramid. If the age distribution is plotted for the population, the resulting structure is called age pyramid. For human population, the age pyramids show the age distribution of males and females in a combined diagram. The shape of pyramids reflects the growth status of the population: an expanding, growing population, a stable population, a declining population. Population growth. The size of population keeps changes with the time, depending on the factors like availability of food, weather, predators, pressure, and competition. The density of population in a given habitat during a given period changes due to four basic factors: natality, mortality, immigration, and emigration. The natality and immigration contributes to increase in the size and the density of population. Mortality and immigration contribute to decrease in the size of population. So the equation for population growth is NT is equal to N0 plus B plus 1 minus D plus E. NT is the population density at time, N0 population in beginning, B is the birth rate, I is the immigration, and D is the death rate, and E is the immigration. Immigration means input, and immigration means when the individual moves away from the population, that is immigration. And when in a given population, in a place, some new individuals comes, that is immigration. Population growth models. There are two models of population growth. Exponential growth model. When the resources availability is unlimited in the habitat, the population grows in exponential or geometric fashion. The equation is dn by dt is equal to b minus d into n. Let b minus d is equal to r, then the equation is dn by dt is equal to rn. When a population shows exponential growth, the curve plotted with n in relation to time assume J-shaped, that red color line in the graph. Logistic growth model. No population can continue to grow exponentially as the resources availability becomes limiting at certain point of time. It is described by the equation dn by dt is equal to Rn k minus n upon k. N population density at time, R is the intrinsic rate of natural increase, and K is the carrying capacity. Yes, K is the carrying capacity. For a given area that allow only a certain limit of population to continue, because when the size of population increases, the other factors that limits the growth, that is a limiting factor, and that is the carrying capacity. Life history variations. Evolution of populations aims at improving the reproductive fitness to the maximum in their habitats. Most birds and mammals breed many times during their lifetime. According to the ecologist, life history traits of an organism have evolved in relation to the constraints imposed by the biotic and abiotic factors in their habitats. Living organisms interact in various ways to form biological communities. Interspecific interactions, it is the interactions of population of two different species. Interspecific, it is the interaction of individual of the same species. The interactions are of following types: predation, competition, parasitism. In predation, species A is benefited, species B is in loss. Competition, both are negative, means both are in loss. Parasitism, one get benefited and one is in loss. Predation is an interspecific interaction in which predators, strong animals, kills the consumes prey, weak animals. Therefore, one species is benefited and another is harmed. Predation is a way to transfer the energy from lower trophic level to higher trophic level. Predator keep the prey population under control. Otherwise, prey reach very high population density and cause imbalance in the ecosystem. Sometimes predators are used as a biological control for pests. Example, the ladybird are useful to control aphids and dragonfly for mosquito. Prey species have evolved various defense mechanisms to reduce the impact of predation. For example, certain insect species and frogs have camouflage. Cryptic coloration means their body color mixed with the surrounding so that their enemy can't recognize or identify. In that way, that prey is protected from the enemies. Monarch butterfly is very distasteful to its prey bird. It has a special chemical in the body. This chemical is produced during the caterpillar stage by feeding on poisonous weeds. Herbivores are the predators for plants. The problem of predator is more severe for plants than animals as they cannot move. About 25% of known insects are the phytophage and feed on the plant sap. Plants have developed certain morphological and chemical defense mechanisms against herbivores. For example, thorns in bougainvillea and spines in acacia. Amensalism, it is the interspecific interaction in which one harmed and other is neither benefited nor harmed. For example, penicillium secretes chemicals, penicillin kills bacteria. Name the interaction in each of the following: Cuscuta growing on a shoe flower plant, mycorrhiza living on the roots of higher plants, clownfish living among the tentacles of sea anemone, quail laying egg in crow's nest, 5 closely related species of warblers living on the same tree. Parasitism. Calotropis produces highly poisonous glycoside, that is cardiac poison. Nicotine, caffeine, quinine, fracinin, opium, etc. are the chemicals produced by the plants against herbivores. Competition is an interaction among the individual of same species, intraspecific, or between individual of different species, interspecific. Competition between the individual of same species for the same resources that are limited. In some cases, resources need not to be limiting for competition to occur. The feeding efficiency of one species might be reduced due to the interfering of the other species. For example, Abingdon tortoise in Galapagos Island became extinct within a decade after goats were introduced into the island. It was due to the fact that the goats had greater browsing efficiency than the tortoise. Unrelated species also compete for some resources. For example, flamingo and fish compete for zooplankton. Competitive release. A species whose distribution is restricted to a small geographical area because of the presence of competitively superior species is called competitive release. This species is found to expand its distributional range dramatically when the competing species is experimentally removed. Gauss' competitive exclusion principle. It states that two closely related species competing for the same resources cannot exist together and the competitively inferior will be eliminated by superior. Resource partitioning. It is the mechanism meant for coexistence of species to face competition. According to this, if two species compete for the same resources, they could avoid competition by choosing different times for feeding or different for aging pattern. For example, MacArthur showed that five closely related species of warbles living on the same tree were able to coexist and avoid competition by having behavioral differences in their foraging activities. Parasitism is an interspecific interaction when one species parasite depends on the other species host for food and shelter. Hosts get harmed and parasites get benefited. Parasites are host specific and parasites and its host tend to co-evolve. Co-evolve, it means that if the host evolve a special mechanism to reject or resist the parasite has to evolve the mechanism to neutralize them. Parasites adaptations. Parasites tend to co-evolve. Some parasites have complex life cycle and generally have one or two intermediate hosts. Intermediate hosts act as a vector which facilitates parasitization of host. Human liver fluke has two intermediate hosts, a snail and a fish. Malaria parasite has one intermediate host, that is a mosquito, to spread to other hosts. Human lice and ticks are ectoparasites. Copepods are the ectoparasites on some of marine fish. Cascuta is a parasitic plant that grows on the trees on shrubs. It lost its chlorophyll and lived during evolution. It gets its nutrition from the host plant by Hosteria. Commensalism, it is an interspecific interaction in which one species benefits and the other is neither harmed or nor benefited. For example, epiphytes, orchids growing on a tree branch, branches growing on a back of whales, branchials growing on the back of whales. Association between egret and grazing cattle. Egrets always forage close cattle are grazing because they easily get insects. The clownfish living along with the sea anemones, clownfish get protection from the predators. Suckerfish on the back of shark. Mutualism or symbiotic relation. It is the interspecific interaction in which both the species interact gets benefit. For example, lichens are relationship between the fungus and algae. Cyanobacteria. Mycorrhiza, an association of fungus with roots of higher plants. Fungi help to absorb nutrients from the rocks and the plants provide energy yielding carbohydrates to fungi. Plants depend on insects for pollination and in return they give them nectar or pollens to eat. Animals help the plants in seed dispersal and in return they give fruits to animals as food. Fig tree and pollinated species of wasp. Fig species can be pollinated by its partner wasp only. That's all.